Hello viewers, today we're going to be doing a comparison video between these three devices to see which one takes the best telephone videos. We have the Sony Handycam here, which I've been using for a long time. This is the model HDR CX405. I've set all these cameras to 1080p 60 because that's the highest resolution that the Sony camera will record at. So for purposes of consistency, we'll look at all the videos at 1080p. I'm more interested in the audio though, because I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of difference in the video. This camera takes excellent videos. I've recorded probably thousands of videos with that camera, and the picture is always very clear. It focuses quickly for the most part. It's overall a really good camera. The audio itself is fine. However, when doing a phone video, it's kind of hard to get the telephone up close to the microphone, because when it sits on the tripod like this, the front of the tripod thing gets in the way, and so you can't take a phone handset and really get it much closer than that, and that's not good enough to really pick up the audio. So I have been using for the last number of years this amplifier thing, which works enough to show if the phone is functioning or not, but the audio quality is not lifelike as what you would hear if the phone was up to your ear, and it's just kind of flaky. It has feedback sometimes or whatever, so it's really not ideal. So I kind of want to get away from using that. So I think this camera, while it may take the best video, although this takes really good videos too, this may have the best video and maybe the easiest to use. The audio is not really good for phone videos. There is something to be said about the ease of use with this though, because you just open it up and you press record, you zoom in and out if you have to, and then you press stop record, and that's it. You take the card out, put it in the computer, and import it. Super easy to use. These two cameras, they don't have zoom. Now in this environment, when you're recording here at the bench, it doesn't really matter. The zoom is nice to have, and I do use it pretty often, but I could make the video, especially the phone videos, without the zoom. These two cameras, well, I haven't really used that one yet, but this camera really takes super sharp, very, very good videos. Really like this camera. It's kind of difficult to use though. It's not as simple to set up as the Sony camera is. It's a little bit harder to open this up and get the memory card out, and the battery life is limited. One of the things that's nice about this camera and this camera is that both of those can be plugged into AC power while they're recording. This one cannot, so you are limited by the batteries. This has plenty of memory. You can just change out the card if it filled up anyways. The audio on this one works very well for phone videos because the camera is here on the side, and so even if it's on the tripod, you can take the phone's earpiece and stick it right up to it like that, and it gets perfect audio in the phone videos. The only drawback with this, and why I'm hesitant to use it for the phone videos, is that it doesn't focus close up, and so you can't see, like if I was going to show an instruction manual, for example, you can't focus real close on the text in the manual, or you can't focus real close onto information tags and things like that. So that's kind of preventing me from wanting to use this for a lot of phone videos. If it wasn't for that, I would probably use that camera almost exclusively. So then we have this thing, which is an iPhone 5e, I guess. I don't know. This is an older model, and I haven't recorded with this thing yet. Now, the earlier days of this channel, I'm not sure everybody's aware of this or not, but the earlier videos that record on this channel, like 5 or 6 years ago, were recorded almost exclusively with an iPhone 4. That's what I had at the time. to record with. I had that, and I had a Canon SLR camera, which arguably took better quality videos. But the problem with that SLR camera's recording was that the memory card, I guess, was a FAT32, and for whatever reason, the camera had no capacity to connect video files together to make a long continuous recording. And so the recording on that camera would cut off when the file reached 4 gigabytes. And while that's not unworkable, what was unworkable was that there was no counter in regards to how long you've been recording or how long you have left to record. There's nothing other than a very small flashing red icon on the screen indicating that it was still recording, and when that would go away, of course, the recording had stopped because the file exceeded 4 gigabytes. And so that was very difficult to work with because it was a guessing game, and you had to keep checking to make sure that the camera was still recording. And so for a lot of the videos, I ended up recording with the iPhone 4. And the two things I remember about that phone in order to get a decent video was that you had to use a certain program, because I found that the default camera program didn't take very good videos. It had some kind of a Digitan image stabilizer to it, which would not only zoom in the video to a ridiculous distance, but the clarity was very poor because it was like smeared as it was trying to digitally stabilize it. And so I found that you got a much better video if you were to use another, like a third-party program. And then going into those third-party programs, a lot of them sounded very different. There was one that I found, it was called, I looked back on in the computer, it was called Movie Pro, and that was the one that I used almost exclusively. I found that one had really good video quality and audio quality. And then over the years, that started to become unreliable. Certain updates or whatever that got installed, it would cause the audio to be totally out of sync from the video. And well, actually before that, what was developing with the iPhone 4 was that sometimes it wouldn't record audio at all. And so I had a couple of video productions. It wasn't often, maybe every couple of months, but every now and again there would be a video that the iPhone 4 recorded that ended up with no audio. And after a handful of productions got ruined for that reason, I decided it was finally time to just buy a proper video camera. And that was kind of the end of my recording with that phone. So then there was occasions, maybe a year or so ago, where I would record on the tablet computer because the microphone was on the side and it allowed for the better audio in the phone videos from the handset. And so I tried to use that Movie Pro program again, and when I downloaded the new version into the tablet, I found that the audio was totally out of sync. So they must have put updates in to try to fix the sometimes missing audio situation, and they ended up screwing it up and having the audio be, you know, like a second or two out of line from the video, which to me is totally unusable. So I've abandoned that program and I experimented with some other ones. I looked at some of the ones that Lamont used because he always records with the phone. And I decided that I think it was called Pro Movies one, which is ironic because it was Movie Pro, this one's Pro Movie or whatever, something like that. I found that that one had much clearer audio than several of the other ones that I tried. That's what I'm recording this video with on one of those other phones. See, I knew they would come in handy. Not very often. There's not going to be a whole lot of videos where I need 4 cameras on the table at once. But I knew having a couple of those other working phones available to record video with would occasionally be needed. So I put, at least I think I put, what's this See, this is not going to be easy to use, these things. I did put the video program on here. It's called Pro Movie Recorder. And now there's going to be an issue here with this. That's the program on the right there. That one, Pro Movie. There's going to be a problem with this phone because this phone only has 16 bytes of storage and it's already half full and there's nothing really on there. I deleted all the programs that was on here and it's still like half full already. Now this phone here, the one I'm recording with at the moment, is a little bit older. It has the same amount of bytes, and this is estimating an hour and 2 minutes recording at 1080p 60. This one can go up to 4K 30. I'm not sure what people's preference would be of 4K 30 over 1080p 60. I kind of like 1080p 60. Either one of those takes up a lot of space. So if this one's better quality, which it probably is because it's this phone here, this is a 5, well, I don't know what the number is, or the letter, it's a 5 something. This one's a 5E. I think this one's a 5, just a, I don't know, I don't know, and I don't care. But this one is newer, and so the camera quality is probably superior, and so it may take up even more space. So I don't know if this is really going to be practical because it's not going to record for very long. However, and I'm going to become kind of frustrated by this if it really does take good videos, but it's not usable because not enough space. I believe the microphone is located right there, and so when this is on the tripod, I should be able to get the phone earpiece right up to that microphone and get a good audio. Now, I hate to say this, and I really hate this to be the case, but I think the phone may record the best telephone video because it does focus up close okay. It's a little bit slow, but it does it. And I think the audio is going to be as good as the GoPro camera is. And so if that's the case, I don't know what I'm going to do. I suppose I could always just like record. What I have done a couple of times is I just switched to this camera to record the audio sample of the handset, and then I go back to the Sony camera for the rest of the video. I could do that, but it's getting like, it just gets complicated to record a simple video, and I don't like complicated, I like simple. So anyways, I'm going to record with these 3 cameras. I'm not going to tell you what the order is. I'll tell you what the order is after I've shown the clips. I'm going to test with this phone just because it's available and on hand. And I'm going to record, you know, like maybe a minute or 2 clip with each camera. We're going to sample the audio from the earpiece. We're going to sample the audio of the ringer, and we're going to sample the audio of my narration. I'll try to say the same things. I'll call the weather phone on each one so we can hear. Actually, you know what would be better to do? I'll call the Farmer Jones cold line. This way it's a real person talking so we get the best idea. And then we'll ring it up, make sure the ringer is on, and so we'll be able to hear the 3 elements per each camera. And then I'm going to have to decide which one I think sounds best. Let me know in the comments which one you think sounds best. And then if it ends up being that stupid iPhone, I think it's going to be the stupid iPhone. Okay, well, let's see what happens. Oh, you know what? I just remembered. I was talking about there was 2 items that I recall from recording with the iPhones 4 originally. The other item that I remember was that it was imperative to record with the tripod, because I can record freehand with this and it's perfectly clear. I can't hold this thing steady. It picks up every little movement of your hand. I mean, it looks like I'm holding it steady here, but this video will be totally shaky. Can't hold those things still by hand. Especially these older models, they don't have any image stabilization on them that I know of. No optical image stabilization. This has optical image stabilization. This has Digitan image stabilization, which seems to work fine. It doesn't get blurry like the iPhones were. Anyway, so I've got this phone is on a tripod, of course, and I'm going to record all three on the same tripod, so they'll all be clear. One other notation: I have to post-process the audio that comes out of this camera. It's just very quiet, and I think that's a function of the camera being waterproof. So what I do is, when it's in the iMovies, I put the audio up a fair bit, well over 100, and I increase the high frequencies, and then it sounds fantastic. That may have to be done with this thing depending on what program is used. One of the programs on there, which Lamont recommended to me a while ago, I found that the audio was pretty quiet and sounded like that one when it first came out of the video. So if necessary, I'm going to post-process the audio out of these two devices to get it to be a normalized level in line with this camera. This is video sample number 1. Here is an AT&T telephone. This is a nice telephone. I'm going to ring this telephone now. I have the ringer on. The ringer should always be on. Okay, I'll let that go a few times. Okay, now we will call the Farmer Jones code line, and we'll get a sample of what the handset's audio sounds like using this camera. I'm going to set the volume midway, and I'll keep it the same for each of the samples.
Welcoming you to join our 74th season of Family Christmas Harvesting. Now, we are open the next few days, actually right through Christmas Eve. 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Be here by 4 to harvest your own. Christmas Eve, we will close at 3. And reservations are not needed the rest of the season. We're past the peak. We are now parking at the Barnyard Village, 606 Walnut Tree Hill Road, just off Route 110 in the beautiful White Hills of Shelton, Connecticut. From the village, you can venture out to the nearby fields to harvest your own.
This is video sample number 2. Here is an AT&T telephone. Here's what the video looked like. I'm going to call this telephone now. The ringer is on. Ringer should always be on. I'll let that go a couple of times. Okay, now we'll go over to the outside line, and I will call the Farmer Jones code line so we can get a sample of what the handset's audio sounds like using this camera.
Hello, Farmer Jones here, out in the Christmas tree fields, welcoming you to join our 74th season of Family Christmas Harvesting. Now, we are open the next few days, right through Christmas Eve. 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Be here by 4 to harvest your own. Christmas Eve we will close at 3. And reservations are not needed the rest of the season. We're past the peak. We are now parking at the Barnyard Village, 606 Walnut Tree Hill Road, just off Route 110 in the beautiful White Hills of Shelton, Connecticut. From the village, you can venture out to the nearby fields to harvest your own, or you can
Here is video sample number 3. This is an AT&T telephone. Here's what the video quality look like. Okay, now I will go ahead and call this telephone. The ring is on. The ringer should always be on. Okay, I'll let that go a few times. Okay, now we'll go over to the main line and we'll make an outside call to the Jones Family Farms code line, or the Farmer Jones code line, so we can get a sample of what the handset audio sounds like. Oh, I misdialed the numbers. Okay, let's try again. Okay, that time I dialed more accurately.
Hello, Farmer Jones here, out in the Christmas tree fields, welcoming you to join our 74th season of family Christmas harvesting. Now, we are open the next few days, right through Christmas Eve. 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Be here by 4 to harvest your own. Christmas Eve we will close at 3. And reservations are not needed the rest of the season. We're past the peak. We are now parking at the Barnyard Village, 606 Walnut Tree Hill Road, just off Route 110 in the beautiful White Hills of Shelton, Connecticut. From the village, you can venture out to the nearby fields to harvest your own.
I just noticed something about this camera which may have made all of my statements about it earlier in this video obsolete. I recently obtained a number of these tripod adapters that allow me to convert the, I think it's 3/8 inch thing for the tripod into a GoPro mount. And the primary reason why I did this is because I find it easier to change the GoPro mounts rather than dealing with that tiny little screw underneath the tripod thing. And now in putting this mount on there, it solved the problem of not being able to put the handset up against the microphone, because now I can with the extra space there. It also solves the issue of the door, the display door, getting caught on the tripod mount. So I wonder now if the audio, of course it would only be on one channel, but I wonder now if the audio is going to be just as good with this camera as it was on the GoPro camera, because now the phone can get close up enough to the microphone.